They called me captain. They said I was a Hamas captain. I developed a good rapport with them, argued with them. I told them what to do and how to do it.
Margalit Moses is the kind of kibbutznik who can milk 3 cows and change a tractor tire simultaneously. She's 77 and has lived in Nir Oz for 49 years. She was an entire generation's school teacher, kibbutz treasurer, and in between beat cancer all of 3 times. A strong woman hardened by a kibbutz life that prepared her for the hardest imaginable predicament. On the dark Sabbath, she was alone.
I was sitting in the safe room, knitting. I started hearing gunshots. At about 9:30, I heard the glass shattering and realized they had reached me too. I saw a man in civilian attire with a rifle. I made a decision to sit and keep calm, not to show fear or anything. I know some Arabic, and I told him he needn't shoot. I asked him to let me go to the bathroom and change clothes, because I was in a nightgown, and he allowed it. I took with me my breathing aid and a hat. And then he said, "Don't be scared, I'm from the Tanzim, who used to be with Fatah," as if it makes a difference. We walked on the curb for a bit till someone came and said, "I'm with the Secret Service, she's mine." That's what he said to the first guy. So instead of one guy holding my hand, the other guy did. I saw tons of Arabs on bikes, motorcycles, on foot. We crossed the border. I knew the way well. 40 years ago, we used to drive the tractor to the beach in Khan Yunis to go swimming. Crowds surrounded us, cheering and clapping. I thought, look at that, they're applauding me. And the Secret Service guy was bragging he got one. He brought me into a large courtyard and someone was waiting with a flashlight and took me into the tunnel.
She meets Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar just 2 days into captivity. Did you recognize Sinwar?
Of course, how could you not recognize that dwarf? Yahya came to us, along with an entourage. He asked us if we knew who he was. So I told him, yes, you're Yahya Sinwar. So he says, that's right, I'm Yahya Sinwar. Don't be scared, you will be taken care of and given food. You're only here because I need a bargaining chip for a prisoner exchange. He was very arrogant, the way he came and asked us if we knew who he is. He came to us with such arrogance. Around him was a gang of, I don't know if bodyguards or what. I didn't see weapons. One of them walked around with a pulse oximeter on his shoulder, and then they left. I believed him. I thought we'd be out of there in a couple of weeks. I didn't imagine we would be there for so long. And the men who have still not returned even longer, which is just beyond horrible. That's the hardest part, that they're still there. I know that not all of them have gotten medication. I saw how their beards have grown out. It's just horrible. The sorrow and worry for Gadi. 40 years we spent together. That's not nothing.
Gadi Moses, Margalit's ex-husband, has been in Hamas captivity for 130 days. He too was kidnapped from his home in Nir Oz in the morning hours while trying to protect his partner Efrat Katz, her daughter Doron Asher, and the granddaughters Raz and Aviv, who were all together in the safe room. He still does not know that the 4 of them were kidnapped too and that his partner Efrat was murdered on the way to Gaza. After 73 days in captivity, Gadi's family finally got a sign of life when an Islamic Jihad propaganda video was released. They keep fighting for his return home.
You see the man tired, you see his joyful eyes so void, and you see how thin he is, and you say, how much time is left? My father will be 80 next month. He's sweet, happy, humble, sensitive, loves helping people, both as father and grandfather. Agriculture is his whole life since he came to the kibbutz.
They didn't prepare us for the release. We had just finished lunch. They said, "Take your stuff, you're leaving." I asked, "Are you for real?" So he says, "Yes, really, take your things and go." We walked and walked and walked for a long time. Then they said to sit down someplace, and then 2 more flights of stairs. I think we waited an hour and a half for the Red Cross. As soon as I crossed the border, I felt really good. At first, when I came back, I didn't want to hear a thing about Nero's or the people for 3 weeks, till I felt I could take it. There's an unbelievable anger, a constant anger at the country. I mean, not the country, the government.
You mentioned having voted for the left, and I wonder if what you've gone through has changed your political views.
On the contrary, it solidified them. I know a quarter of the people of Nero's were murdered or kidnapped. And still, my views don't change. The government and its members and the parties prioritize wars and not the people.
You really believe there's someone to talk to on the other side?
I believe that if they have their own state, the Hamas part will simmer down.
You think that that fanaticism can change?
There are still many who aren't fanatics. Years ago, guys from Rafah worked in our factory, one of whom I had a really good relationship with. When they weren't let in anymore, we would speak on the phone. I said to him then, "You voted Hamas, what are you crying about?" So he said, "You know how I voted Hamas? With a guy holding a rifle next to me. Anyone who didn't vote Hamas was simply shot."
It's hard for me to hear. I think it's naive, in the same way I used to be naive. I'm conflicted ideologically. I believed that on the other side there were life-loving people that a terror regime was forced upon. But sadly, seeing thousands raiding Nir Oz, pillaging and burning and killing, I don't believe there are people who wish us well. I don't believe anyone is non-complacent. I left all that on October 6th. Having said that, I say eventually, for us to continue living here, there will have to be peace. And peace is made with one's enemies.
There won't be a choice, and they'll have to talk to the Palestinians and reach a peace deal. And it will be better. It will. It has to be better. This darkness cannot continue.